Hello, everybody. Today is Tuesday, May the 5th, 2015. My name is Michael, and this is the Global Effects Club Moving Average video. Just before going forward, please do pause the recording and read over our risk disclaimer. All right, so let's jump first into the performance page. Ended off the month of April in the green. Had actually a nice big trade to close out the last day actually. It was pretty much back and forth, but we ended up closing plus 215. That was the biggest gain since November, and the last big order came on the back of the Euro CAD. Right, we were long from 134 at 17. The target was for 138, and ended off playing that trade pretty well. Okay, again we are pretty much call these out in the chat rooms and etc. Are pretty frequent, and then you can see how we basically go ahead and send the orders out. You guys also have been getting it via Skype, email, etc. So anyway, that was a great trade to close out the month, in my opinion. And now, going forward, let's look at some trades as we kick off the start of November. Okay, I mean the start of May. All right. So as of late, though, we are in no open trades. Okay. Um, and from a moving average standpoint, the first one I want to take a look at is the Kiwi dollar, right? Because the Kiwi, it has really, um, it was a nice reversal point. Let's look at from a LE wave standpoint first because it was pretty clear from the highs about, okay? And then I know we did go ahead, we tweeted it out. You guys received it and etc. Let's move this. Let's shrink this down so you guys can see the time frame as well. Okay, so this was a nice backdrop against this trendline resistance. I noted it. I put it in the chat rooms and etc. And right now, what we have, okay. Personally, I took a trade from the lows, but just looking at this pair now, the Aussie a tad bit higher, right? We should see the same thing across the board for the pairs, right? First, we have the Kiwi looking for a tad bit higher before lower levels continue. Aussie higher before lower levels continue as well. Euro dollar, okay. Euro, I do like to the downside. I want to see how prices react around current levels because looking at the US dollar index, all right, the US dollar index has slipped above this trendline resistance, okay? In my opinion, what we could see is a pullback in the pair, okay? Something like, I'll show you guys. A pullback and then a rally continuing higher. Okay. Now, obviously, the dollar index is the inverse of the euro dollar. Okay, so very important to keep noticing. Just watch for the developments on that angle, right? From the standpoint there. But key focus on that, and the same thing happening with the euro because here I don't rule out a slight bounce before lower levels continue. Now, on a moving average viewpoint, okay, that pullback, all right, a tad bit higher than lower, but then lower levels I do like for longs, okay. So if the euro could come down and retest the 50 period SMA, that would bode well. We already had this topside golden crossover pointing to higher levels on the pair. And then we have some horizontal support as well should we get down towards these key levels of 110.50 about. Okay. Um, pound dollar. Okay. Pound dollar. And this is an interesting point because um, the pound is basically the cousin of the euro dollar, right? Being the in the eurozone kind of area, but where we saw the pound dollar really retrace and really take a backdrop, the euro really stayed stagnant. Now, what we look for is a sort of choppy price action. Okay, if prices do push higher. Okay, ideally we'll like for short to higher levels. Obviously, we broke below this 50 period SMA, so something of the magnitude of higher, and then we like to see prices really stay below that 50 period marker, and then look for continuing to the downside for the pound, because as of now the trend is lower and the bears are in control thus far. And again, we see the same thing with the US dollar index. All right. So, really no change there. And then and then the other interesting piece is the dollar CAD, right in line with the US dollar index, very similar again. So you can see fairly similar notion across the board. All right. Now, we're pretty choppy right now, but however, the big notion, we have some resistance on the trend line. The 50 period is not too far away, but again, similar to the dollar index, we look for a slight pullback and then look for the dollar cat to resume higher. All right. So here I do like this, even the smaller size trend line break 120.22. That's about 60, 80 pips lower, and then resumption to the upside. All right, so pretty similar theme throughout. The dollar crosses is really looking for maybe for the risk to slightly be in favor in the short term, but then in the medium term for the next couple of days, looking for the U.S. dollar to resume its trend to the top side and take its footing. All right, guys. I'll send some trade setups, and the rest of the guys will send some trade setups in the chat room. Feel free to ask us or request any pairs to be covered, and we'll be happy to do so. All right, guys. I'll talk to you all in the chat room. Feel free also to Skype us at Global FX Club or send us an email to info@globalfxclub.com. Cheers and good luck trading.